Hello everyone, Soprano Theories here, and welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to another video. As always, before we get started, if you enjoy this channel and my content and would like to see more, be sure to click subscribe and click the bell to get notifications on all upcoming Soprano videos. And be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram, the links will be in the description below. Regardless of whether you're a mafia boss like Tony Soprano is, or just a part of the mafia, one of a gangster's biggest fears is getting caught on tape by a rat. As a mob member's other biggest fear is arguably death, like what we saw with Tony Soprano throughout the entirety of the series. What makes the notion of a rat so significant is that these are usually longtime friends and made members of the family. The FBI's goal is to ultimately try and bring down the head of a family, and in the case of the Sopranos, it is Tony Soprano. As the FBI usually tries to target someone close to Tony or a family's boss, that way there's no second guessing or trust issues between the informant and the target. As we saw this with one of Tony's most loyal and dearest friends earlier on in the series, Big Pussy. But as time began to wind down for the FBI when it came to catching Tony Soprano, so too did their informants. As throughout the series, informants were dropping left and right, from Big Pussy, Jimmy Altieri, Adriana Lacerva, Eugene Pontecorvo, Raymond Curto, and Jack Masserone. The FBI ultimately had nowhere else to look for a chance to bring down Tony Soprano. Or so we thought. As Tony's nephew and longtime friend Christopher Moltisanti was set to take over the reins of the family if God forbid anything were to happen to Tony. But this brings up the question, was Christopher a rat towards the end of the series? Nowhere do we see Tony's distressed thoughts about Christopher being a rat more noticeable than in the 18th episode of Season 6, Kennedy and Heidi. Now, it's within this episode where the theory of Christopher being a rat takes on full display. In this episode, Tony finally seizes the opportunity to squash his biggest threat in Christopher by killing him, as he finally puts an end to all his troublesome problems like his drug and alcohol addiction and the idea of Christopher flipping. If we think back to earlier on in the series, Christopher's very own fiancée, Adriana Lacerva, was taken in and questioned by the FBI. Even with the FBI having Adriana, they wanted Christopher, as they wanted someone close to Tony, and Agent Harris and others could constantly be seen asking Adriana about Christopher. And when Christopher comes to Tony in a state of panic when telling him that Adriana was a rat, the very first thing that Tony does is searches Christopher for a wire. Even with Christopher stating his innocence throughout the sticky situation, he will forever be connected towards a rat and Adriana, as he did nothing to stop the situation or did not see the early warning signs throughout her relationship with the FBI. We see this notion of the possibility of Christopher being a rat come full circle when Tony has a nightmare.
I mean, to begin with, every morning I wake up thinking, is today the day that one of my best friends is gonna dime me to the FBI? And a weak, fucking, sniveling, lying drug addict? That's the worst kind of bet. The biggest blunder of my career is now gone.
It was clear that Tony and Christopher's relationship was not at all what it used to be, as throughout the series, whether it was the Adriana and Tony incident that was the beginning of the end of Tony and Christopher's relationship, Christopher constantly getting overlooked, ignored, and made fun of by Tony Blundetto, Polly Walnuts, or Bobby Bacala, and just the overall letdown of Christopher in the eyes of Tony. It becomes clear to Christopher that Tony doesn't view Christopher the same way he once did.
That's the guy, Adriana. My Uncle Tony. The guy I'm going to hell for.
As he resents the man that he looked up to and loved, and the same man that ultimately made Christopher choose Tony over the love of his life in Adriana. No one can deny Christopher's loyalty to Tony throughout the series.
I'd follow you into the gates of hell. That's what I was gonna say to you. What you did for me, that fuck who killed my father. I'll never forget that.
But as time went on and his drug and alcohol use became increasingly more addictive and caused danger to himself but also the family, and of course the family's his boss and Tony, Christopher became a liability. We see his vulnerability on full display in the pilot episode where he hems and haws himself on whether to take his life story into Hollywood and pursue his lifelong dream of being a filmmaker, as this would be something we would see later on in the series' 7th episode of Season 2, D-Girl, and when Christopher makes his film Cleaver in Season 6, a film that is clearly a revenge fantasy towards Tony where the boss dies in the film. Christopher's drug and alcohol addiction caused a constant state of fear and anxiousness for Tony, as Tony often wondered if Christopher was such an easy target for the FBI, this could result in Christopher flipping to avoid a lengthy jail sentence. As a result of Christopher and Tony falling out, we see Christopher form a strong connection and build a strong friendship with screenwriter JT Dolan near the end of the series. It's the friendship Christopher develops with JT that acts as somewhat of reassurance in the mind of Christopher, as JT offers support throughout Christopher's battles with addiction, unlike Tony. And in the 17th episode of Season 6, Walk Like a Man, the episode before Candy and Heidi, we can see that the relationship between Tony and Christopher and choosing to side with Tony over Adriana is taking a clear toll on Christopher, as we see Christopher display clear resentfulness towards Tony throughout the entirety of the episode. Whether it's Christopher openly talking about his drug and alcohol problems and Tony's smug attitude in an AA meeting, or tearing up towards a stranger in a stairwell over the love of his life, and almost telling the truth about what really happened to Adriana. But what really gets to Christopher is when he drunkenly spills his guts out towards JT, as he discusses the possibility of flipping and making one phone call to possibly testify against the family and Tony, and stating how good of a life Sammy the Bull Gravano, a notorious mafia rat, has such a good life down in Arizona. As Christopher stating this information to JT almost acts as a cry for help. The episode of Walk Like a Man is the clear demise of Christopher Moltisanti. The entire episode supports the notion that Christopher has ultimately had enough of the mafia lifestyle and has had enough of Tony's backstabbing. However, he knows he cannot leave the mafia or Tony's side, as he knows he'll end up dead. In the next episode, we see Christopher wearing a baseball hat while attending a meeting with Tony and Phil, discussing the asbestos scam. And if we think back to earlier on in the series, we saw Jack Masserone, another informant by the FBI, also wear a baseball hat, but this one had a wire stuffed on the inside. It's during this meeting where Christopher's behavior is a bit wary and cautious, as he keeps looking off to the side and never actually looking anyone in the eyes for that matter. And when Tony agrees with Phil to let him have the dumping scam, Christopher looks off to the side as if he knows the feds are watching. Later in the car with Tony, Christopher is still wearing the hat and is adjusting the volume in the car, as this could possibly be to get Tony on tape talking about the asbestos scam. And it's in the car scene where Christopher is a little pushy, just like what we saw with Jimmy Altieri and Big Pussy, as all three can be seen urgently trying to get something out of Tony. In the series' finale, when we see the cat staring at a photo of Christopher on the wall, Tony states that the reasoning for the cat constantly staring at the photo of Christopher is that maybe a rat had died in the wall, which is ironic that the show could be mentioning that Christopher was a rat, just like Adriana. If there was any doubt that Christopher was a rat or were to flip, his actions in Walk Like a Man and in Candy and Heidi prove that Chris is ready to flip if there is the least incentive to do so in the first place. As after these episodes, Tony and Christopher's relationship was never the same. It's also interesting to note that Tony may have inadvertently provided the means of Christopher's demise by tipping Agent Harris about the Arabs, who Christopher was doing business with. Christopher is also the most involved when it comes to the credit card scam and the weapons sales if Harris and the FBI decide to get anywhere with their investigation. It's ironic if the charges that led to a witness protection deal with Christopher against Tony solely originated from a tip Tony himself gave to the FBI. In a perfect world, this scenario is the ideal time for Christopher to flip. He already can't stand Tony for what he made him do, that being choosing him over Adriana and having the love of his life killed. Ultimately, with the help from the FBI, Christopher can figure out the remaining pieces of the puzzle, that it was Tony talking to someone about the Arabs. Towards the end of the series, this is a different Christopher than the one we saw throughout the beginning of the series. While he's also trying to protect himself from the mafia world when it comes to staying sober, he also now has a wife and daughter he's trying to protect as well. After all, he doesn't want Kelly ending up like Adriana. Personally, I can totally see the evidence behind this Soprano theory, and if you agree or disagree with this theory, let me know down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to click like, and as always, for more Sopranos content, keep it locked here, right here on this channel.